to Dear Book Coach. I'm Carrie Savage, certified book coach, project manager, and writer.
I'm Stephanie Detlefs, writer and certified book coach.
I'm Terry Thayer, certified book coach, certified focusing professional, and author.
This is a friendly advice space as you plan, draft, and revise your novel. In each episode, we answer one question submitted by a writer like you with 3 different points of view, and you get to pick the advice that resonates with you. And our question today was submitted by Steve. I swear it wasn't me. This will become clear later. The first draft of my book is about 145,000 words long. I know that it needs to be much shorter, but I have no idea how I can cut it back to 90K. Help. Stephanie, yeah, you're up.
Yeah, well, my answer is going to kind of depend on where you are in your revision process. I know you're saying first draft, and I'm assuming that you mean that you're done with the first draft and that you're starting to revise. And so that's how I'm going to answer it. So hopefully it'll make sense. If you were like have already done some revision and you're still asking this question, then I'll answer that in a second. So if you haven't revised at all yet, you're going to want to look at the big picture first. It's going to be really easy to go through and like pick apart scenes or look at it at the word level, and maybe I can make this description shorter, maybe I can make this dialogue shorter. That is not where you want to go right now. Right now, you want to focus on the big picture. So things like your story structure. Do you have a clear narrative arc from the beginning to the end? Is the plot very cause and effect driven, like we've talked about in other videos? It's possible that you have way too much backstory in your book. It's possible that you have taken too long building the world of your book. We don't know what genre you're talking about, but if you're writing historical fiction, if you're writing sci-fi or fantasy, you may have this extensive world building happening, which can often cause the book to become way too long. And those are places where you can look to cut a little bit. It's possible that you have entire scenes that don't even need to be there because they're not driving the story forward. Excuse me. So your whole question is, does this story move scene by scene with cause and effect toward the end that I'm aiming for without going off into random tangents? I would try mapping it out visually in some way, if that's like a graph or post-its of all the scenes so that you can see them all at once. It's really hard to do this work when you're looking at, however many pages of text this is. So I would try to back up and create a visual model of it, even if it's just a bulleted outline of your scenes. If you've already revised for those things, then you're going to look at the chapter or the scene level for what I was saying before, which is, have you gone into too much detail somewhere? Have you rambled on with a description that could have been 50 words instead of 100 words? I really highly recommend getting a developmental edit, or better yet, a book coach to help you figure out what can stay and what can go. Getting a second set of eyes is always valuable. So that's what I've got.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the second set of eyes is really helpful. There are a couple of things that I notice that I do that can really add word count that are unnecessary. One I call the rev up, and the other is the wind down. So after you've done the big picture stuff that Stephanie's talking about, look at on the paragraph level, even the scene or the act level. Do you rev up? Do you write a bunch of stuff before you get to the point? And it could be you're just kind of thinking out loud, you're thinking on the page, you're working through what you want to say. My guess is at 145,000 words, you probably have done some of this. And just remember that every word in manuscript is there for a reason. So like Stephanie said, have you said this more than once? Could you say it in fewer words? You have to trust your reader. This is, I think, really important. You don't have to tell us everything. we will fill in the gaps. And we like to fill in the gaps. Notice, like, if you're reading a good book, how much you fill in, how much you make those leaps that the author just leaves you clues for. So leave something for your reader to do. The other thing is the wind down. Look for these at the end of your paragraphs or your scenes or your acts. I almost always write an extra sentence. I don't know why. And most of that time, the extra writing isn't as good as what came before it. It's padding. It's kind of like when you turn off the car and you still get that noise. That's what I'm doing. So find those, and usually at the end of every paragraph, go back to the sentence before it. It's the one that says it all, says it well, and you can just get rid of that other one. You might want to look to see if you have extra characters. I had a client do an inside outline, and she realized one character was not adding to the story at all. But as the author, she kept trying to give this character words and things to do to justify her being in the story. So make sure all your characters are working. Combine characters if you need. I can cut out all scenes where folks are sitting around chatting or, heaven forbid, having tea. So I have one in my book right now I need to cut out. And then look for subplots, like they don't belong. Research, that's cool, but not adding anything. And I guess maybe you might even have 2 books there. That's something to consider. What do you think, Carrie?
All right, so true confession time. The reason I said I swear it wasn't me is because it absolutely could have been me. You submitted this question. I think I have talked about it before on Dear Book Coach. When I finished my first draft of my novel, it was 145,000 words. It was 457 pages printed out. It was huge. And so it's especially funny to me, in a sad way, I guess, is because I remember being at around like 45 or 50K and like thinking to myself, there is no way I'm getting to 90. How am I going to like play this out? And then, the next thing you know, I came up for air and there I was at 145,000 words. Yikes. And I just wanted to, one little aside that I think we've mentioned before, but you had mentioned, Steve, in your comment about 90,000 words, trying to get to that as a goalpost. And that is a great number to shoot for. I just want to note that it's not an absolute number. Things can vary by genre, things can vary by audience. So it's worth, if you are writing in a specific genre, make sure you're just Google it. There's plenty of guides out there that will tell you what a good range is for word count to shoot for. Especially for first-time authors shooting for traditional publishing deals, you're going to want to be right in that range. And that's one of the reasons why I knew there's no way my book can be this long. Okay, a couple of tactical things, and I'm probably going to do some overlapping here with things that you've already heard, but these are part of the ways that I've been trying to manage my manuscript bloat, for sure. Run a report to see your word usage frequency. Yes, this is a little bit fiddly, I admit, and like I'm contradicting Stephanie a little bit where she's like, stop trying to, like, don't try to cut words, that's not your problem. She's right, except that I was shocked to find out that I used the word that almost 2,000 times. And the lady's got a fun text message for me when I got that word usage report and said, wow, okay, that's really unnecessary. Go after adverbs and other kinds of helper words that tend to sneak in when you're just letting it all hang out and writing your first draft. There are things that come naturally to us as we write, and they absolutely do not need to be in there. So be ruthless that way. That said, those kinds of things are not going to get you from 145 to 90. I can promise you that as well. So echoing what they've said, what you really need to do is make an honest inventory of all of your scenes and then interrogate them to make sure that they're pulling their weight. How are they moving the story forward? How are they moving the character forward? Does the reader have to know this piece of information or about this event? If yes, is there another place where it could go in combination with something else? I've said this before, I'll say it again, be ruthless. Force yourself to make hard decisions here and really make sure that your scenes are doing double, triple duty. Make sure that they're doing a lot of work and not just one thing. It might be okay if you're more or less around your target and you find a scene that's really only doing one thing, you can maybe let it slide. But when you've got a book that is, that far over your word count, you really need to be merciless and ruthless. I am just into those words today. About making sure that everything that's in there is pulling its weight. So I am not there yet, I will confess, but I have managed to cut about 30,000 words at this point, and I know that there's a lot more that I can do. So it is possible. I know that I can get it to 90, but it is a lot of work, and you do have to be really, really critical of the work that you've done. So
and
be fearless. You can do it.
Yeah.
The pirate in you is coming out, the ruthless and the
True.
Yep. Your pirate story.
One thing I was thinking as you were talking too is it's a real sign of an amateur to an agent or an editor if your book is overly long, and especially overly long for the genre, and especially right now.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be.
Yeah. And I, Carrie, I think it's okay that I share this on your behalf, but one of the things you're doing is asking a fellow book coach to, and it's not one of us, you're asking a fellow book coach to help you decide what needs to go, because you're so close to it that you don't know. And I think that that's a really important thing to just emphasize, is that we get so close to our story. We get so married to our characters, even the little side ones. And like Terry said, maybe one of them needs to go. Maybe all the scenes they're in needs to go because it's just not relevant. But we love them. And so it's hard to make that decision. So outside help is definitely worth it in this case, for sure. So that's it for us today. We hope that you found an answer that makes sense to you at this point in your life and at this point in your book. Remember, you can submit your question anytime at dearbookcoach.com. And while you're there, subscribe to our weekly email, because each month we randomly choose a subscriber who wins a call with the coach of their choice. We'll see you next time.
Bye.